What is going on, everybody? Welcome to my channel, Woody RC. You can see here my new Wpl Suzuki. The C74 has a new set of wheels and tires. The stock wheels that came with it, it's hard to explain what kind of rubber that is, but it is a very hard rubber. There's no foam on the inside. They're just a hard, bouncy tire with no give whatsoever. And though they didn't come glued, I went ahead and glued a few spots on it just so it wouldn't slip off, but honestly didn't think I had to do that. But you can see here now we got a much softer tire, and this is it's the same size tire. It's a 70 millimeter tire on here, and bought these on Amazon. They are a lot more supple tire. You know, the rubber's a lot softer. It's not quite an S5 compound. I'd say maybe an S3, but I didn't want a really soft compound because those softer compounds, I believe, are good for a smaller rig, a lighter rig. But this, you know, this has got some weight to it. So I wanted a little bit firmer rubber, but not quite like this cheap stock tire here. Now this was bought on Amazon, if I didn't already say it, and the brand is Morlordy, M-O-R-L-O-R-D-Y. And it was a wheel and tire combo for $28. Now in order to run aftermarket tires, you're gonna make sure you get a aftermarket hex adapter, like a 5 millimeter to 7 millimeter. Because these wheels are 7 millimeter, and the stock here, you know, is a 5 millimeter. Let me show you. I'll pull a tire off here really quick. Okay, here's the stock axle here. That's a 5 millimeter, you know, and made for this tire. It slips right on there. Now, most aftermarket 1.0 wheels or 1.3 wheels, which is what these are 1.3. You're gonna need an adapter like this little guy right here. This is a 5 millimeter to 7 millimeter adapter. So these just slip on right on the wheel, just like that there. And then you're able to put your tire on, like so, and put the screw in. Now I actually use a little washer here before I put that screw in there. You don't have to, but I just feel more secure with it that way. Stock tire, because it is the exact same size. They look a little smaller on the vehicle because they do have a little bit more give and more sag to them, and they're not quite as a square tire as you could see here as the stock tire there. That's the difference right there. But the difference in compound is amazing, you know. It's just so much more supple than the stock tire. I didn't want to put money into this. I wanted to leave it as stock as possible. But the tires, they had to go. You know, I didn't want to run with these anymore. And with a softer tire, you know, sometimes, you know, and this actually comes with a nice foam. It's going to act like a suspension also, so it's going to aid in your stock suspension going over the rocks when you're out trailing with it and things like that. And I want to talk something else what I did to this here. This axle here, the drive shaft kept pulling off, you know, the front of the axle here. So I just stuffed some paper towels in there. I just ripped off little bits at a time and shoved it inside the shaft here. And that forces this forward, and it keeps it from going all the way in. And I still have full, you know, mobility, rotation. And when it goes all the way in, it could cause this to pop off the axle house right there, you know, the shaft. And another thing you could do to get better performance out of this is remove these drive cups. They just pop off right here. These are just, as you can see, they're just a press fit. You can just pop that off, and inside are the drive cups. That's all that's supporting the axle. There's no bushing, there's no bearing, it's just a drive cup in there. So what I did is remove that and put a little bit of grease around there. And that was able to give it where you go full steering, it would bind up, and the suspension will actually bind it and stop turning, you know, the wheels But with that grease in there, you could go full rotation, hit the throttle, and still rotate. The tires will still turn freely on their own. So greasing those really helps out a lot. And I recommend doing that if you have one of these or if you plan on getting one. And also, that will take away, after a couple runs with this here, with this Jimny, I call it the Samurai, it'll develop a squeak in the front. And doing that, remove the squeak. You know, it's just a plastic on plastic. It slowly developed a squeak, an annoying squeak when you're out trailing with it. But anyways, I'm looking forward to getting out there with it and trying out this new setup here. Hope this video helps. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for watching.